Greetings, Commanders. This is Commander Atlas Rand, and as we're getting closer to the final days or hours, even of the last Titan having any control around Saul, I wanted to go through and show you the builds of, well, I don't even know if it's all, but several of my AX Xeno fighting ships. So the last video was specifically looking at the what I kind of refer to as the Tankaconda or the Shardaconda, which is a very armor heavy anaconda build. And that's certainly not the only anti-Xeno ship that I've played, and it's not even the funnest one that I've mentioned before, but it is the one that does the most money making. It kills the most Thargoids in the shortest amount of time. So today I wanted to go through some of the other ships. And again, this isn't necessarily from worst to best or best to worst or anything like that. It's just giving you guys more ideas of what are ships that can go out there and help with the war effort against the Thargoids. So let's start with this crate here. So this is based on the ARC's purchasable Krait Mk II. And I actually buy all the ships that they release. I don't need them, but I buy them to support the company. I guess you could kind of think of it as just donating money to the company, but really, I've gotten so many hours, literally thousands of hours of enjoyment out of this game that I paid, I think, $35 for initially, maybe 40. So I really don't feel bad at all in this game to giving more money to the game company, especially now that they've introduced a lot of new content. So I buy whatever is available. Anyway, let's take a look at it real quick. So like I said, it's based on the one you can purchase. I've made some modifications. And let's see here. So we've got enhanced multi cannons. So these come with it. These three come with it. I've put in a fourth one in here, and then also a beam laser. I think it came with a torpedo, if I remember right, and it had a manual beam laser. I really like using the turreted ones because they auto track. And if your goal is to be dumping heat, which is the main goal of this laser, it's a thermal event. So it's not really there for damage, it's dump heat. Yes, the manually targeted ones will do more heat dumping. However, they only do that when you are targeting something that you want to dump heat into. Whereas these turret beam lasers, I put them on shoot anything, free shoot or whatever it's called. Let's see, what is it called? Find out. Go in here, go into ship, go into target. So I would put this at fire at will, right? So they'll shoot anything that is nearby, and by doing that, they're going to be targeting something and dumping heat from the ship all the time. Not just when you're directly facing a Thargoid or when you're, in PvE, not when you're just targeting something that's in front of you. They're going to swivel around and shoot in a much bigger arc and not just at the one thing that you're targeting immediately. So I prefer that way. I know a lot of people prefer just to have a targeted one that dumps more heat, but then you got to, you're going to be dumping more heat in a short amount of time because most of the time you're not actually looking at your target anyway because they're trying to run away from you. All right, so pretty standard setup here. I left what it came with. These are also available in, I don't know if they're on stations. I don't think they are. I think these enhanced multi-cannons, which is the best ones to use, I consider, The pre-engineered ones are actually worse because they dump way more heat into your ship, or they add more heat into your ship, and they give you just a little tiny bit more DPS. So they also don't stop to reload. So they're theoretically better on paper. They are in practice. You can do more with these because you're not generating as much heat. Utility mounts, caustic sink, heat sink, enhanced Xeno scanner, anti-grid pulse neutralizer. And again, all of these things are available on the rescue ships. They're also available on my carrier as well as many other commanders' carriers. I just restocked. I was sold out of a lot of these things because people have been buying them off the carrier because the carrier is not too far from Sol. And I just want to make sure I restock this as well. Core internals. Military grade is all you need. You don't need to go any higher, any more expensive than military grade because the only real differences are going to be resists. And the Thargoids ignore resists with their weapons. So military grade is all you need. But you do... Wow, this one's actually... Okay, so this is the default. We'll go ahead and crank this all the way up. So if you've got the engineering for it, obviously engineer everything out to the max. The little shopping bag symbol here, that means that it came with the ship when it was bought for ARCs. So it's not something I swapped out. And that's why they actually did a pretty good job with the ship. A lot of stuff I didn't have to swap out because it already came with it. Power plant. So this obviously also needs to get upgraded. I haven't done that yet. The low emissions power plant upgrades for engineering work a little differently. At every level you lose some power, but you also generate less heat, so you have to kind of balance it out to get to that 20% mark. And one of the things that that is the goal when working with specifically for Thargoids is you want to stay at 20% or lower, and I think lower is probably better than 20%. So I usually try to be a little under that. I'm going to pop up a window and overlay it here that shows EDS for this ship as well. And that way we can go through some of the specifics of what these choices actually mean. So let me add that window in here right now. Let me find it. That one? Let's see. There we go. Yeah, that's the one. So this is, let me make the window a little bigger. So it takes up more of the screen. I guess I'm going the wrong direction. Oh, okay. I guess I just need to move it over here. There we go. There we go. Okay, and then fit it. There we go. I think that's all of it you guys are seeing. So, same exact ship. You can see the multi-cannons here. The beam laser, thermal vent. But also then, like, this is on 3. We want to get it to 5. And we also want to add deep plating if that is something that you have enough engineering for. Power plant. So low emissions on 2, thermal spread. Now in here, if you're not familiar with Etsy, you should get familiar with it. It's a very good tool for testing different ship layouts before actually spending any time or money in game. This is just a web browser. And it's edsy.org is their URL that you can go to. So this is showing the heat at idle and heat with full throttle. Idle heat is good. It's 18.8 if you're not moving, but when you're moving, it's 22.6. Now, if we take this power plant and we go to low emissions with engineering 3, you can see that that drops to 17.3 and 21.4. Go to 4, that drops to 15.6 and 20.1. And if we go all the way to 5, you can see even at full throttle, we are at 18.7. Now, the other thing that affects is if you look over here for how much power you have. We have sufficient power in this build to run everything. But let me go back to tier 1. You can see that you have you're only using 75% of power. At tier 5, you're using 85% of power. It's not because you're using more, it's because you're producing less power at tier 5. So tier 5 engineering for low emissions is going to be the least power produced by the power plant. Now, the other thing you have for the experimental effects, double braced, monstered, stripped down thermal. Some people do double braced for the power plant because you can't repair your power plant. Therefore, you can't lose your power plant. And if you run into losing your power plant too much, you may want to put double brace in there. The most common thing is monstered. And with monstered, if we do that, you can see that with this build, we could actually do monstered instead. And now it came with thermal spread when I bought it, but we could flip it to monstered because that still would only give us 19.2 at level 5, but generate now more power. So this is the way it is right now. Thermal spread, so that would be at 85%. Going to monstered, that would be at 81. So it'd give about another 4% more power going to monstered. All right. Let me flip back. So that's the power plant. As far as thrusters, again, this is the way it came. Dirty drive tuning, drag drives. Surprisingly, the dirty is running cooler than the clean power thrusters. So make sure you have dirty drive tuning if you want to keep the ship nice and cool. You can leave it on drag drives or switch it to what's the other one that it can do? Thermal spread. So again, if I flip over here, so if you can do, it's right now it's on drag drives. If you put it on thermal spread, it's going to reduce the heat even more. It's at 18.4. But the way it is right now, it's on drag drives, which gives you a little more speed. Speed is your friend, and running cold is your friend. So you want both of those, so just find a good mix. And let's say we go all the way to 5 here. See, that boosted our heat past the 20% mark. So if we go to 5 in our thrusters, that means we have to go back to the power plant. Instead of going to monstered here, we'd have to go to, we would actually keep it at thermal spread, which is the way it comes. So if we leave this alone at thermal spread, bump it up to 5 on power plant, then we can make the thrusters level 5 with dirty tuning and drag drives. And the heat is still 19.7. So that's probably actually what I would do. I wouldn't bother flipping it to monstered. I would leave that the way that it came, just boost it to grade 5. And then same thing for the thrusters. Boost that to level 5, leaving it alone just the way it came. SCO frameshift drive. Not engineered at all. So definitely want to engineer that to get more range. Life support. It's the right life support, 4D. If you want, it's only 4 tons. If you want to just squeeze a little extra out of it. Oops. There we go. So you want to squeeze a little extra out of the life support. You can also engineer that. I wouldn't bother going past tier 1 because that will cut it in half, drop it down to 2. And we can do that right here as well. So life support, put it on lightweight tier 1. So, okay, 45% cut, almost half. That's all you really need if you bother doing it at all. Power distributor. So let's go back to the main game window. The power distributor, oops. Power distributor is unengineered. We definitely want to engineer that because we want power as quickly as possible. So flipping back to this, you could see as unengineered, Let's see, where's it going to be most obvious? It's going to be under. Uh, 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 uh. Oh, that's refuel. That's not what I want. I do want to add weapons, though. I think it's going to be most visible under weapons here. So this tells us how long we can duration right here until the capacitor is empty. So it's at 24 seconds right now. And yeah, current capacitor duration using configured power distributors. So that's just at 24 seconds. That's the important part. So if we take that power distributor, we go to charge enhanced, which is the thing that's always recommended. There's only 2 of these that are worth doing, and as charge enhanced, and for a very specific particular type of weapons, weapon focused. But generally your default is always going to be charge enhanced. So if we go to charge enhanced and okay, that's 1 to 5. So let's start at 1. Charge enhanced 1. You can see we can run for 27 seconds until the capacitor is empty. At 2, 30 seconds. At 3, 34, and so on. At 5, it's 45 seconds. And if we then add super conduits, 49 seconds. So it can run for 49 seconds, and if there was no blueprint, 24 seconds. So it's doubling it roughly by going to charge enhance. What charge enhance does is it just recuperates power into the capacitor a lot faster, or it charges it up a lot faster, I guess would be another way of saying it. And for most ships, I'm going to use charge enhanced super conduit at grade 5. And I just assume grade 5 on all of these, unless I say otherwise. The only thing we're not, sometimes don't bother doing, like, for example, I showed life support. I only go to grade 1 because there's really no point in trying to save more weight, but also losing more integrity. So 1 is actually a good one. But for most things, you're going to take them to level 5 engineering. Sensors, they came with 6Ds, which is correct. So this is what both Meccan and I recommend, is using D-rated sensors and then engineering them to long range and then either 4 or 5 engineering. This will give you the biggest usable length of sensors, meaning you're going to be able to target things outside of your actual gun range, but you can that way either run away from something and still watch to see its health, what it's doing, if the Thargoids have their shields on or not. And you're going to be able to target things before you actually come upon them. Like they'll pop up on your radar and you'll be able to target them at a much longer distance. But it's D-rated because if you did the same thing to an A-rated sensor, let me click on an A-rated one. So if you put an A-rated sensor in there and then you went long range, it's 80 tons weight and it gives you 12,000 meter range. Your maximum range on most guns is 6,000 meters. So this is double your gun range at 80 tons. And as you know, more weight means slower speed. Going with D and putting it on the long range is 32 tons. So it's less than half the weight. And we dropped from 12 to 9.5. Still outside of your gun range. Your gun range is 6,000. That's with like your long range lasers can go 6,000. So yes, we lost about 2,500 meters, but we cut our weight by over half. And if you were to go to A-rated long range, let's say 2, So this would be comparable distance, right? So a rated at a grade level of 2 would give you 9,300. So a little bit less range, about 200 meters less range, but it's 56 tons. So you can see why going to D rated and going to full long range, full 5 engineering is only 32 tons. So it's about 20 tons lighter and 200 meters longer. So D rated here all the way. And then the ship comes with it. So there's nothing you need to do to keep those. All right. So sensors, D rated, fuel tanks normal. Nothing changes there. Internals. So this is what I haven't touched any of the stuff it comes with. And this is the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take off the bi-weave shield, because shields for fighting Thargoids are a hindrance, not a benefit. And why is that? Well, regardless of whether it's a bi-weave, a regular shield, or a prismatic shield, it's not going to protect you much. It'll give you just a tiny little bit of protection against Thargoid weapons, but not much. Very quickly, the shield will drop to 0. It'll be completely gone. And then, for the entirety of the time that you're fighting Thargoids, it's going to be, your ship will keep trying to recharge your shield, which means it's going to be pulling current out of your capacitor, draining your capacitor continuously out of the systems. That is only going to prevent your ship from using other things that rely on you having a capacitor. So the first thing we do here is we get rid of the shield. And I know it comes with a ship and it's free, so you get no money back for it. But it's worthless, so we're getting rid of it. What we're going to add is another hull reinforcement here. So we're going to add one of these. Now, some people say, well, you got these Guardian ones. Why don't you add a Guardian one? Well, there's a good reason for it. This is the most reinforcement that you can get is with the regular one. 738. Maybe 740, I think, is probably the actual cap. Maybe it is 738. But that's with deep plating and heavy duty 5. So let's equip that. So you just added another 738 to your integrity. So our integrity is up to 2550 here. Now, the cargo rack and the repair limpet, these are going to be swappable depending on the role of the ship. If the ship's role is to be fighting at a station, a port, or a ground-based, I guess the port, ground port, you do not need a repair limpet or a cargo rack, because the only reason you need the cargo rack is for the repair limpets. And if you don't need the repair limpets, then you don't need the cargo rack. So both of these slots will also end up being hull reinforcements. I have a different build. I'll show you where that's the case. So I'm going to leave this one, though, for remote Thargoid fighting. And when you're not next to a repair station, you're not next to any place where you could just land and repair, then you do need a cargo rack and repair limpets. So, and the D-rated limpet is the correct one here as well, and it comes with a D-rated, so it's good that they're actually doing things that are recommended here for the pre-made builds. You want the D-rated because it weighs less. Again, we're trying to keep our speed up. The only difference between the D-rated and the A-rated repair limpet is how far it can fly. You're mostly repairing your own ship, so it has to fly 3 meters. That's it. So we have a 1,000-meter range on this one, which is still plenty to repair other people. You just have to get pretty close to them. And plenty to repair yourself. if we swap this out for A-rated, let me switch over to the other screen here. Where's our repair limpet? Right there. So 1,000 meters, maximum repair capacity 310. Let's go to swap that out with an A-rated. So A-rated repair limpet, same exact repair capacity 310. The only difference is now we can go 1,820 meters. So we've gained about 720 meters and added more weight. This one's 20 tons. We go back to the D-rated. It is 8 tons. So lightweight is what we want. All right. What else we got here? Hull reinforcement. Yep, that's what we want. Probably, yeah, it's only on 3. This should really be at 5. And ideally, all of it should have deep plating as the experimental setup at all. So if you've got the engineering mats, you got the engineers unlocked, make sure you take all your hull reinforcements to level 5 deep plating. And same thing with this one. It comes at 3. You should take it to 5, add deep plating. Auto field maintenance. This, again, is just like the repair limpet, is going to be replaceable depending on your fighting style. If you're going to be going off fighting in an area where you cannot repair the ship, and, for example, flying to the Titan and helping with the efforts for bombing the Titan, there are no stations next to the Titan, so you can't repair. So in that scenario, you would want to have repair limpet, cargo rack, and your out-of-field maintenance unit. So the repair limpet will repair your hull and other people's hulls. The out-of-field maintenance unit will repair all of your internals. So I'll show you what I'm talking about here. If you go to your modules, you can see that all your modules have a health. Now, they're all at 100 right now because, well, I'm in a station, right? I'm docked. So everything's fully repaired. But as you fight the Thargoids, some damage will go through your hull and start damaging your modules. If you start overheating, which happens quite a bit when you're using weapons like Guardian shard cannons, you tend to overheat quite a bit. That will also damage the insides, all these internal modules. So your modules will start dropping from 100 down to 0. So what the field maintenance unit does, go back in here. So what it does is, if you've never used it, if you use it, obviously you know, but it starts, it allows you to take a module offline. First thing you have to do is take it offline, and then it can repair it. And I think it'll take it offline automatically as soon as you hit repair. Just don't forget, you have to manually put it back online once it's done being repaired. So if we're, again, going back here, if let's say my beam laser was down to 10%, or it doesn't matter what, 50%, whatever it was at. If the beam laser dropped down to that, I would go in here, I'd hit the space bar. It would show me this screen. I would hit repair, and it would take it offline. You see how it's offline? It doesn't have the little dot on the left side. It would start repairing it. It would get to 100%. It would stop repairing it, but it would leave it offline. So I need to go back in here manually when it was done repairing. Go in here, go to inactive, hit that. Now it's back online. It's annoying. Honestly, I wish it would automatically go back online. I wish the way it worked, this is not the way it works, is you go to repair, it would take it offline, repair it, and then put it back online for you. It doesn't do that. You can also here get more info. And this is something most people never look at, so I'm going to show you here as well. So you can actually see the detailed info about the different modules that you've got installed, a lot more than you see when you first install them. You can see damage, the thermal load, the maximum range, minimum breach, okay, damage fall off, integrity, distribution, all that good stuff. So you can see that, and it also, you can see it's the type of damage. So in this case, thermal. A lot of info about it. If you hit space when one of these is selected. Actually, if you're playing with a controller, I guess it would probably be the A button. I don't know. Don't know off the top of my head. You guys with controllers, you can figure it out. Yeah, I think it probably would be because I'm using my joystick right now, and I think it's not a controller. It's I have dual sticks, but same kind of idea. You just whatever is the same function as your space bar. All right, let's go back to finish this up. It's already taken 30 minutes to go through one ship, and I wanted to do several. All right, so repair limpets. Yep, out of field maintenance. Module enforcement. So we got a couple of these. We got one here and we got one here. That's almost borderline too much. I may swap this top module enforcement for another hull reinforcement, honestly. But you keep it the way it is initially, I guess. Or no. Actually, here's what I would do. I would leave that as a 5D module reinforcement. Or I would put in the Guardian version of that if you have access to the Guardian stuff. And then I would actually put in 2 Guardian hull reinforcements here because they add a resistance to caustic. So there is, but they don't give nearly as much protection for your total integrity as the human ones. So this is what I do on most of my ships: is that in the low slots I have Guardian hull reinforcements, and then I have a single large module reinforcement, and then I have everything else be hull reinforcements. So these 3 items, out of field, repair limpet, and cargo, could all be replaced with hull reinforcements if you're fighting in a very close vicinity to a repair facility. Otherwise, keep it exactly the way the ship came. And there you go. There's one ship. Now, let's go through a few more. We'll do it quickly. Who am I kidding? Nothing ever goes quickly. What else do I like to use for Thargoids? Okay, this is the evac version. I'll show you this real quick. I'm not going to talk about specifics, but I just want to show you the what I've swapped out essentially from the way that it comes, which I do like this paint it came with. So it comes with enhanced multis. Comes with 3 of these. I added 2 more because this ship's job is just going to be ferrying passengers and then only killing scouts, so smaller Thargoids. Or actually also killing I'm blanking out the name of them. The ones that actually come and chase you and knock you out of warp. Not, what are they called? Like the scythe. The scythe, I think, is the main one. That these are also good for killing. Utilities, heat sinks, 2 of them. I think it came with a caustic sink, but really you don't need a caustic sink if you're doing passenger ferrying. You do want the electronic countermeasures, and it came with one. Some people actually put a second one in instead of a second heat sink. And this prevents missiles that the Thargoid shoot from hitting your ship. It interrupts the missiles. So that's useful for that as well. Comes with it. The only change I made on this is just upgrade everything to 5. But basically keep it all at whatever it came with in terms of tier, like a 4 or a 4D here, an A here. I kept all that, just bump it up to level 5. For the internals, it came with a combination of like these here you see with the little shopping bag. It came with these economy, but then they also had luxury, and I was like, well, I don't want luxury for evacuation. So I just replaced the luxury cabins with more economy cabins. That way I've got more of them. And I think I can't remember if it didn't come with this Guardian frame booster because this is a 4. I think it may have come with a 5 Guardian booster. And I wanted more economy cabins, and so I have a 4 Guardian frame booster in here. I don't remember, honestly, what it came with here, but I do have a size 4. If you're always putting in a size 5 Guardian frame booster, just keep in mind the difference between size 4 and 5 is 1.5 light years. So by dropping from size 5 to a size 4 Guardian frame booster, I lost 1.5 light years. And whether it's a passenger cabin or a cargo hold, going from a size 4 to size 5 doubles the amount of cargo you can carry. So sometimes it's worth doubling your cargo for that slot and reducing your speed or your jump range by 1.5 light years just to get double that cargo amount. Although the added cargo will also take a little bit more all off your jump range as well. But most of this stuff is pretty obvious. A couple of hull reinforcements here. In fact, these are not engineered at all, and they should be. These should be fully engineered. I have no idea whether they're not. I also like auto docking, so I put that in. I think it had the Super Cruise Assist before, but it doesn't have a little bag, so I may have removed it and put it back in. But I like the Super Cruise Assist. I like the auto docking on this particular ship. If this was primarily an anti-Thargoid fighting ship, I would replace both of these with hull reinforcement packages. And if I had them, then the Guardian ones for sure. All right, so that's it for this ship. Go to the next one. Let's see. Yeah, so this one, this Python 2, which is really fun to fly. I love flying the Python 2. This is set up very similarly to the Krait that we just looked at. It has 4 of these enhanced multi-cannons, and then it has 2 automated turreted beam lasers to cool things off. So it is also a cool running ship. Got the enhanced Xeno scanner here because you're usually, whenever you're using the AX multi-cannons, you're targeting specific things. And so for that, if you want to target the Thargoids, you need a Xeno scanner. The enhanced one gives you more distance than the regular one, so always go get the enhanced one if you can. Shutdown field neutralizer. Again, this is necessary for preventing your ship from turning off. And there's also another version of this called the, let's see if I have one. Nope, I only have the shutdown. There's another version of this that is specifically meant for going into the Titan. And I am all out of those. I'm sure they're on some of the other ships. But just keep in mind that the shutdown field neutralizer is the one for just preventing your ship from being shut down. I think it's something wave neutralizer, maybe. Thargoid wave neutralizer, maybe something like that. I guess I can look on here. Let's see, what is it called? It would go here. It was called the shutdown field neutralizer. There we go. So the shutdown field neutralizer would be what you would put in if you want to go into the Thargoid Maelstrom, into the cloud, essentially. And I'm all out of those, so I need to go pick some up. Caustic sinks. Got 2 of those because 2 is always better than 1. This way, when the first one fills up, you're not immediately starting to take damage because the second one will start filling up. You can either drop these one at a time, or if you put them both on the same key, same button, then you can wait until the second one is almost full and then drop both of them at the same time. So basically, just doubling the size of the buffer that you have. And a couple of pre-engineered heat sinks. I do pre-engineered because they're pretty cheap to buy, but you do have to buy them at a, I think it's a human, what do they call them? Not a human engineer, a human dealer, human something. What is that called? I'm trying to remember. Let's see. Look it up. It's a material trader, human material trader, I believe. And if it's not at a human material trader, it is for sure at the Sirius megaship. So, because Sirius Corporation is who actually makes them. So come to think of it, they probably are not at the regular human dealers. The human. Oh, what a. Just go to the Sirius megaship. That's the best. That's the best place to do it. Technology broker is what I was thinking. Human technology broker, but come to think of it, it's probably not a human technology broker. It's only the megaship from Sirius that sells them. But they give you an extra ammo on top of what you could engineer yourself. And also always engineer these caustic things, because just one level of engineering will bring them from 5 to 7 ammo. That's useful. Core internal is pretty straightforward. I even just have the lightweight alloy that I came with. I probably should put in a military in there, but obviously I kept everything super cheap with the components that I came with. And for power distributor on here, I've got a charge enhanced super conduit. Look at that, just like the other one. Same with sensors, same with everything. Now, optional internals, this is what I was talking about. So for the low slots, like slots 1, 2, and 3, I put the Guardian hull. And here for slot 3, I put a Guardian module reinforcement. So if you have the Guardian stuff, use it. I have a little bitty, tiny out-of-field maintenance unit. It's not going to do a whole lot, but it'll do something. And then size 4 hull reinforcement and size 5 hull reinforcement. So I've got 4 different hull reinforcements, 1 module reinforcement, and a small out-of-field maintenance unit. And this is really more for emergency use than anything else. And yeah, so this runs cool. Let me find out what this is currently running at. So that would be. Let's see if this works. Yep. That's for this ship. So this runs at 19.8 with full thrusters or 14% heat at idle. So very cool running. And then once you turn the beams on and they're cooling you off further, you can even start using these multi-cannons and still stay under 20%. It's it's a pretty cold ship, hence the name. All right, next ship. Repair Conda, Shardaconda. And that's it. Okay, so we have just the 2 Condas left. So the Shardaconda is the one that the whole last video is about. So we're not going to look at that. So and then we have the Repair Conda. Okay, so this is also for a inside the Titan Cloud build. So this has the 4 AX multi-cannons to, this is to shoot smaller Thargoids and or kill the scythes. It has a couple of AX missile racks for helping to shoot the core, although it's not going to do nearly as much damage as the other ship I showed, which is specifically using the shards for the core. Got a couple of small beam lasers to keep this a little cooler. Heat sink, pulse neutralizer. This really needs to be the other thing though, not the pulse neutralizer. Oh, it is the pulse. No, it is correct. The pulse is the one that lets you go into the cloud. Then I have a couple of heat sinks, so 3 total heat sinks, 2 caustic sinks, 3 caustic sinks. Okay, 3 caustics, 3 heat, a pulse neutralizer. 4 4 caustic sinks. There we go. Lots of caustic sinks. And that's mainly so I don't have to you know what? I'm gonna actually probably. Yeah, I don't need. Okay, yeah, it's fine. I was gonna say maybe I could put another heat sink in, but I don't think this ship needs it because it's not gonna get that hot. Kept the lightweight on here. Could go with military. Doesn't really matter a whole lot because it's a much bigger ship. It's at 5,500 integrity. So even with the lightweight, if I swap this out and put in the military grade, it'd probably be 6,500 or maybe 6,200, something like that. And oh yeah, so this one I have to have a low emissions power plant for if I want to run it cool. And this ship is meant to be in the cloud, so it's meant to run cool. So I just also realized you guys haven't been looking at what I've been showing because I've been covering it up. Great. This is the ship. It's an Anaconda. This is the one that I'm talking about. So difference is this has low emissions power plant. Low emissions 4. Remember what I told you? Each level makes it cooler, but also puts out less power. So 4, I guess, is as low as I need it to go on this one to stay under 20%. And that is true. So if I flip back to this window, you can see that the heat on this ship is at idle 15.9 and with full thrust 19.7, so just under 20. And that's using dirty drive tuned thrusters. So that could even be go down if I was to add thermal spread effect down here. That would drop it to 19.4. And if I did drag drives, I would be over 20, so I don't want to add drag drives. So right now it has no experimental effect. All right, so okay. I mean, weapon stabilizer and everything is mostly hull. Yes, on a field maintenance unit because you're going into the cloud, and then some of these Guardian hull Guardian module reinforcements. And I still like my Super Cruise. So, all right, guys, that's it. That's all of my anti-Xeno ships. I think 5 or 6 total, whatever it is. They're all slightly different. They're all for slightly different tasks. Clearly, on the 2 of them, I took the weapons off to use on something else. Yeah, it's variety is fun in this game, and after a while, when you make enough money, you don't need to worry about swapping components on ships. You just build a whole new ship for that one task. Long ass video, so I'm going to cut it off here. And if you watch this far, definitely sub because clearly you enjoy this content. I'll see you in the next one.